Next, we're going to hear from Representative Karen Alzati, who is the representative from Pawtucket, who has introduced this legislation on the House side as H5227. Rep, are you there and ready to go?
I'm ready. Thank you, George, and thank you everybody for joining us. There's so much that could be said that I'm so proud to be a part of this legislation, and I'm proud to sponsor this legislation with my counterpart, Melissa Murray, Senator Murray. One of the things that I think about, in the last year is when we were doing our budget, one of the things that kept coming up was I had so many constituents and other colleagues tell me that they were so afraid that we were going to have to make budget cuts and that was going to include social services. And this year, or the last year, the one thing that we have seen is how important it is for us to create revenue in the states so that we do not take money from our most vulnerable communities. So this, raising the tax bracket to the 1% will allow us to continue to have very educational conversations when it comes to our education. Education is huge, and it's something that we talk about all of the time. And we need to make sure that we no longer continue to look for them to make sure that we balance a budget by cutting the school department's budgets at any city or even on the state level. This will allow us, raising the revenue will allow us to be able to fund very important programs for our students, after school programs, summer programs, and we'll be able to take this revenue and give it to our cities so that they can make sure that our most vulnerable populations within our cities do not suffer from any other budget cuts. We have to talk about infrastructure for housing, which is super important. And if the pandemic has highlighted anything, is the inequalities that we have had during housing crisis. It's more prevalent now than it has been before, and we've seen everything that has been caused by not only the pandemic but also by the need to make climate change something really important. We need money so that we can put it towards affordable housing for all of our cities and towns in our states. Also, this revenue also supports small businesses, which I'm really excited for us to discuss, because there is a myth stating that we will be taking money away from small businesses. That is not the case. We want to invest in our small businesses. We want to make sure that they are thriving even after this pandemic. This is great legislation for our economic development for all of our cities. This will increase the funding for all of our cities. We can take this funding and make sure that our cities will distribute it exactly where we need it to be during education, housing, small businesses, which is super, super important for communities like mine. Diverse communities like mine can no longer continue to take any more cuts in order for us to balance the budget. And raising $128.2 million it sounds really good, especially right now during a pandemic. We have a budget that's looming over our heads. We want to make sure that we are able to balance a budget that we could create with this revenue. Bringing in this revenue for our states will only make us stronger and better. And I hope that we can all have a great conversation around how important this is for all of our cities and towns will benefit from this. And we no longer have to have the conversation of cutting funding for really important issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative, and thank you for your leadership on this issue and the work you've done with your colleagues on the House side to get support for it.